I, 40-year-old female, have a sister, 37 years old, that recently started a second shift job, the only shift available there at the moment. She has a son, 12 years old, my nephew, we'll call Jay. About 2 months ago, Jay started football practice in the evenings. My sister called me crying because she had no way to get him from practice. I offered to pick him up and she gave me a few dollars in gas money. Jay came up to me the first day after practice and asked if I could take his friend, Z, home too. They all live in the same housing development, so I said sure. Z's mom is a single parent that works 2 jobs and is gone a lot in the evenings. So I started taking Z home every day too. 2 weeks go by and another boy, A, wants to ride with us. Same housing development. His mom recently got in a bad car wreck, and A has been finding random rides home. So now I have A with me too. I'm just a mom trying to help out other moms. This goes on for a few weeks when this other little boy, X, wanted to ride. Sure, I had room that day. He was the absolute rudest child I have ever encountered. The rest of the boys are funny and polite. We cut up, joke around. But this kid, some of the things he did on the way home, called her the F slur, said I was too fat to be driving a car, kept making fun of Jay's weight, was telling me, a 40-year-old, how to drive. My daughter, 8, was riding with us that day and she started laughing. He looked at her and said, "Why the frick are you laughing?" This kid is 12. I got to Jay's house and I let all of them out. They live close enough where they can all walk home, a few houses down. X stayed in the car and said, "I need you to take me to my house." I said, "No, you're walking like the rest of them." He gets out, slams my door and screams, "I'm going to go home and K***L myself and it will be your fault." After he walked away, I called my nephew over there and told him his friend isn't allowed back in my car. He was pissed at X and said he would handle it. A month passes and X tried to get a ride again. I said, "I'm going to keep it polite and just say no thank you," and I drove off. The next day, I'm waiting in line to pick the boys up when this woman starts tapping on my window. I rolled it down and she said, "Get the frick out." I knew it was X's mom. I'm not fighting anybody over this stupid poop. I told her I wasn't getting out. She asked why I was refusing to take her baby home. I went over everything her baby said and did. Of course she didn't believe it. She said she thinks it's fricked up that I can help all the other moms but not her. I told her, if your kid had a little more sense, then he could still have a ride. And also I'm helping the moms that work in the evenings or can't drive at all. This woman doesn't have a job, she's just lazy. I rolled my window up and she started screaming at me. So, am I the idiot? She still calls me an idiot every chance she gets. Now here are the comments. Comment 1. I just want to add one thing. I don't care about that X kid, but his mom is making it difficult at practice with the other parents there. Like I know she has told other parents I refuse to take her kid home, because parents that used to talk to me won't even look my way anymore. I don't care really. They're not my friends, but I don't want her attitude and pettiness to trickle down and affect my nephew. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You don't need to deal with that. You are being kind and generous. The boys sound like they appreciate you, and I'm hoping their families have also said something at some point. I'm petty enough that my response would be either, "Takes one to know one," or, "I see the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because your son is just as lovely as you are." Comment 3. Not the idiot. Stick to your guns. If you are worried about it affecting your nephew, introduce yourself as his aunt and casually mention that his mom is at work. If anyone brings it up with you, set the record straight. I'm betting as they get to know X or his mom, they will understand. Now, for the next story. I am 32-year-old male and my wife is 33-year-old female. We have been married for 8 years and have a 12-year-old son together. About 6 years ago, my wife decided to go vegan. She was sent the documentary Dominion by a vegan friend of hers, and ever since has said non-vegan food is revolting and refuses to eat it. After a long conversation, I agreed to go vegetarian and be vegan in the house and around her, which she was happy with. She also decided our son should be vegan, which after seeing a dietitian I also agreed with. Things have been fine with this arrangement until a few months ago when I began finding wrappers from non-vegan candy and even burgers from McDonald's in my son's school bag, which he had been buying with chore money. I had a conversation with my son and he confessed he felt lonely and excluded eating vegan around his friends and that they always had much better candy than he did, and it wasn't fair. I decided I didn't want him spending his pocket money on snacks and throwing out the vegan snacks we actually brought him instead of buying games, etc. It made no sense, but I also know the way my wife feels about non-vegan products. So I began buying my son what he wanted on our way to football practice instead. Long story short, my wife recently found out what has been going on and completely flipped out. She called me an animal abuse enabler and a few other names and said I was corrupting our son. Now she is not speaking to me. Our son panicked and told her I had bought the snacks for him, and he didn't know they weren't vegan. I don't blame him for that. He just doesn't want to be in trouble with Mom. Am I the idiot here? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Everyone sucks here. Only a little bit OP, but you shouldn't have lied to your wife. Would I have done something similar? Probably. But you need to seriously sit down as a family and discuss this. Don't let your wife bully your son into being a vegan if he doesn't want to be. He's 12 now and old enough to make choices about his diet. This is honestly unfair on him, and he shouldn't have to hide what he's eating to his parents. That's seriously unhealthy. Your wife also needs to accept that not everyone is going to share her opinions, and if her son wants to eat meat, there's nothing really she can do to stop him. But guilting him into being a vegan is not the way to do it. Comment 3. Not the idiot. I think my answer at this point would be, our son is old enough to decide what he wants to eat and what his dietary preferences are. If we put him into a situation where he feels he has to hide things from us, that's on us. If your wife is confronting him about this in any kind of intimidating way or trying to make him feel guilty with the same phrases she's using with you, I would prioritize your son and his needs and well-being. Poop like this can cause a lot of problems. Now, for the next story. Backstory. Female, 20-year-old, have a Japanese name even though I am not ethnically Japanese. My mom is Korean and my dad is British. They met and fell in love while studying in Japan and had me there after marrying. We lived there until I was 14 before moving to the United States. This will be important later on. Today, a group of my roommate's friends came over to study with her, and I happened to be in the living room when they arrived. They were introducing themselves to me, and when I said my name, I have a pretty common Japanese girl name, so it's pretty hard to be mistaken about the origin, and one of the girls made a disgusted face and laughed at me, saying that was so dumb. She said that she was Japanese American, and I was culturally appropriating her country as a white person. I tried to explain that I lived in Japan for a while, and that was why, but she kept insisting I was lying and that if I was telling the truth, I would be able to speak the language. Since she put it like that, I started talking to her in Japanese, basically explaining where I lived there and asking which prefecture her parents were from, etc. She ends up stuttering through a sentence in an awkward manner before leaving in a huff. Later, my roommate told me I embarrassed her by pretending to be more Japanese than an actual Japanese person and appropriating the culture, and her friend expected an apology. My roommate doesn't think I did anything wrong, but now I feel kind of bad. Am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Before getting into anything, let's be clear about something. You don't have a Japanese name because you lived there for a while. You are Japanese. You were born there. You grew up there. This girl obviously feels stupid, as she should. You were literally being introduced and she came out of the gate accusing you of cultural appropriation because of your name. That's so rude and disrespectful and completely unwarranted. The right thing would be for her to admit she's wrong, or at least drop it. Instead, she escalated the situation only for you to prove her wrong yet again. And now she needs an apology for being offensive? Please do not apologize to this girl. Or be in her presence if you have the choice. Not the idiot, obviously. Comment 2. You did not embarrass her in any way. She embarrassed herself. She made an incorrect assumption. Even asterisk after asterisk. You explained your history and background. Asterisk. You should be expecting the apology. I am confused about what they thought you were appropriating. Your parents gave you your name, and it's not cultural appropriation to speak a language especially after she asked you to Seems like they wanted you to introduce yourself as Ashley, erase the first 14 years of your life, pretend you didn't know Japanese, and defeatedly sigh, "You got me." Not the idiot. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You didn't choose your name, and you were literally born in Japan. That makes you Japanese. You're not just pretending to be. Edit. I learned today that Japan doesn't grant citizenship by birth, if we're being technical. Thanks for the info. But being born in Japan, growing up there and spending most of her life there is enough to make me think it's still part of her identity. And it sounds like OP feels that way as well. Now, for the next story. My husband, 32-year-old male, and I, 29-year-old female, were vacationing in Europe for 2 weeks. Coincidentally, one of my old college friends, Lizzie, 30-year-old female, and her husband, 30-year-old male, were also vacationing in Italy the same time that we were. They have a baby daughter who just recently turned 1. After we found out that both our families were going to be in the same area for a few days, I suggested that we meet up and spend a day together. They happily agreed. My husband and I had chartered a small yacht to take us around Italy for 3 days, and we invited them to come with us for 2 of the 3 days we had the boat. They happily agreed. The first day went perfectly. We all had an amazing time eating, drinking, swimming, chatting, etc. We all hadn't seen each other in over a year, so there was a lot to talk about. On the first day, I wore a bikini, definitely on the skimpier side, and Lizzie wore a one-piece. On the second day is when the confrontation occurred. We had just finished breakfast together, and Lizzie asked for us to speak privately, so we went to a nearby area. She first started by telling me that after she gave birth to her daughter, she's been feeling horrible about her body and how she just feels incredibly ugly in her skin because of the weight gain and the stretch marks. Then she confessed that seeing me flaunting my body and being so thin made her feel really upset and uncomfortable, as well as envious. Lizzie also mentioned that she knew her husband had been looking at me, and that made her even more upset. I felt for her and made sure to reassure her that she was absolutely beautiful. She then asked if I could wear a one-piece for our second day on the water. I was a little taken aback by this blunt request. I told Lizzie that I didn't bring any one-pieces with me on vacation. She then immediately rolled her eyes. She said snappily, "Well, can't you go buy one right now?" I felt really awkward at this point because she was clearly getting agitated at me and teary. I was very uncomfortable because I wanted to say no, but I couldn't figure out what to say. So I just awkwardly said and stuttered for a minute. This upset Lizzie even further, and she yelled, "Are you king serious? You're being so selfish." Once she cursed at me, I said, "Lizzie, I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to do that. You can call me selfish all you want, but it's not my job to make you feel better about your insecurities." This set her off even more, and she began having a full-on sobbing meltdown while yelling that I ruined her entire vacation. After a few more minutes of back and forth, I just removed myself from the conversation, ran back to my husband, and told him we were leaving them. We didn't end up contacting them for the rest of our time in Italy. It's been 3 days since the incident, and now we're back in the States. In the past, Lizzie has been a toxic friend, so I think that plays a role as well. But I still feel weird about the whole thing. Am I the idiot? If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.